I'm going to start the broadcast. Ready, Marissa?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and it looks like attendees are slowly, okay, coming in. Okay, so we are going to begin. So aloha and thank you so much for attending our Get Ahead series. We are going to be talking about looking pandemic. And so my name is Teeny Talvelo Waltrip. I am the Operations and Marketing Manager here at Express.
Perfect. And I am Marissa Wong. I'm an employment manager here at Express that focuses on the office services and professional desk.
Awesome. And so we're just going to go over our agenda today. So what we're going to be talking about today is, fine-tuning your resume, finding job opportunities, some interview advice for you, going over our light industrial and skilled trade positions or top jobs, going over optional accounting top jobs, letting you know the benefits of working with Express, and then we'll go ahead and go into questions. We're going to have a lot of content, so what we've done is put it in a question and answer format, and so we're going to be asking, we've taken all the questions that we've commonly got from associates, and we've went ahead and made answers for you. So we're going to go ahead and take it away with Marissa. So fine-tuning your resume. First question is, what are the biggest mistakes that you've seen on a resume?
Teeny, this is a huge one. It seems so simple, but just basically making sure that your contact information is correct. Making sure that your name is spelled correctly, your phone number is current and up to date, as well as your email address. Without that, if you're applying for jobs, nobody's going to be able to get a hold of you.
Nice. And then, what are the biggest tips to help boost your resume?
The first step when creating a resume is to list all of your work history. Just being able to remember where you worked, the dates that you were there, and some of your job duties and responsibilities is a really good starting point. And they always say that it's good to keep updating your resume every 6 months just to keep everything, up to date. Oftentimes you sometimes even forget what you've done through the years, but not just that, once you start applying for positions and start sending your resume out, you're always going to want to make sure that you're tailoring those job duties and responsibilities towards the position that you're looking for, so that there is some sort of correlation as well. And hiring managers will notice that as they're looking at your resume. And finally, we like to say, use a resume buddy. Have your resume and have somebody look at it. Always having another eyes on your resume to notice any grammatical errors or organization or chronological errors will really help you to make sure you're putting your best foot forward.
That information is awesome. And I know some people are asking a lot right now. Big question, how and where do you explain an employment gap?
Everybody, life happens. There may be an employment gap due to COVID or, family obligations, and there's different ways that you're able to present that. First and foremost, on the professional level, create a cover letter. Explain that in your cover letter. Just really briefly, but also once you get that interview, go ahead and share it, just briefly, but with that hiring manager, share that information with them. In not too many words, but you're able to speak about that in the interview as well. So,
Nice.
yeah, sorry. And I just wanted to add, we always want to make sure your resumes are going to be focused on your skills and accomplishments. And we don't want to take away from any of that as well. So thanks.
Nice. No, and should I list my references on a resume?
That is a great question. I get that one all the time. And, to be honest, resumes shouldn't be any longer than 1 1.5 to 2 pages. And if you're going to be spending a half a page listing contact names, positions, and contact information for your references, it's kind of wasted space. So instead, we always suggest that you have a separate a professional references sheet that you're able to hand out to any of the hiring managers, or if they ask for it in the future. Use your resume to highlight your work experience and all of your accomplishments instead. Save the references for another sheet.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So next topic we're going to be talking about, going to be asking Teeny some questions. Topic is going to be finding job opportunities. So Teeny, tell us, how do I find a job?
Thanks, Marissa. So first and foremost, I do want to go ahead and give you some statistics. Right now, unemployment is 13.9% in Hawaii, and that's June, compared to when it was 23.5% in May. So what that tells you is that people are already getting back to work. And so if you don't have a job right now is the time you get ahead of the game. And so how do I find a job? So you want to call Express first. I think, we are a, one-stop shop for you, and it's a great way to go ahead and make sure that you are marketing your resume to a ton of people. Another thing that we're going to go ahead and add is to make sure that your resume is up to date. So again, like Marissa says, making sure your contact information is correct, making sure that you're updating your recent jobs, especially, good advice about every 6 months. Another thing we recommend is developing a top 10 hit list. So what you do is you your list, look for the top 10 companies that you're wanting to work for. How you're going to build this list is just make sure you're industry specific. Look for jobs that might match or that will match your skill sets, and you want to go ahead and look at pay and location. Questions that were asked, when you're trying to do a company hit list is sometimes the company doesn't have the position that you want, or that you qualify for. You take initiative, you call the company anyways. You want to go ahead and make sure that you want this job. And so, yeah, that's something that I would, recommend.
So are all really great suggestions for sure. Out there, sometimes people have mentioned they see a lot of positions posted online they're not too sure about. How would I notice or identify any fake postings?
I would definitely say do your research. And so we all kind of go on gut instinct. If you're looking at a posting and you feel like this is not going to be a good fit, or a good posting, do a quick Google research, making sure that you're going to the company website, and call the company if possible. That way you'd be able to go ahead and get information about that.
Awesome. And what happens if I've submitted my application to various companies and I haven't heard back from them? Am I doing something wrong?
Good question, Marissa. So right now, we are going through very tough times. And so I would definitely suggest that you have grace for COVID. Companies are changing, times are changing, people are working remote. They're trying to figure things out. Positions that you've applied for, a month ago may not be available right now, because of the ever-changing rules and such. And so you're kind of keeping that in mind. Next thing is different companies use a ton of different systems. And so when you're submitting a resume, you want to make sure that you're putting in the right keywords, the right, skill set, so that it can go ahead and, match the company's systems so that you can get pulled. If you're not doing that correctly, then you may not be so. Another thing that you could do is call them. You want to go ahead and make sure you're separating yourself from the maybe 200 people that have applied for that position. So you want to call them, set initiative, and making sure that you're following up.
Those are really great ideas. And then, are potential employers looking for me online after I apply and submit my application to them?
So I would 100% expect that. And so with our day and age, during this time, with the internet and such, and so many social media platforms, everything is fair game. So they're wanting to go ahead and make sure that you will be a company, or like a culture fit for the company. They want to presenting yourself, on all platforms. So you want to go ahead and make sure that are you proud of the way that your information is being presented on the internet? A couple of other things to keep in mind is that you have to be careful about your email as well. And so we're looking for professional emails. It is not the time to have hot mama 808 on your email right now, because that is something that, is definitely going to be, sometimes a deal breaker. If you're submitting resumes, just be ready with calls and be conscious about how you're answering the phone. You are submitting resumes, recruiters will be calling you, and so the last thing you want is to have that first impression of answering the phone right when you wake up, at 11 o'clock in the afternoon, and they can hear all of that. So yeah, and to add that too is, no, finding a job is a full-time job. So you want to be as professional as possible when you're doing all of this search.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. It's definitely a commitment. But, how can I find the best companies to work for if I'm new to the area?
Again, doing your research, creating a list that's, in the area that you're looking for. So I recommend taking advantage of all the platforms that there are out there. So Indeed, Career Builder, even our Express Jobs, site and app, all of them have, just where you can go ahead and do it by location. You also want to go ahead and take advantage of, like, Facebook and, different social media platforms that have groups or communities. Even if you have friends in that area, you want to go ahead and, ask them questions about, that are great in the area. So yeah, you really just want to go ahead and do your research and your homework.
Absolutely. And then, finally, what would be your advice for veterans transitioning into the civilian world?
First and foremost, really thank you so much for your service. We couldn't be more grateful. We definitely, I know Marissa and I have had tons of times where we're looking at resumes from, our veterans, and some of the skills that they list, we're not really sure how to go ahead and translate them over into the civilian world. And so you just got to be conscious about the type of work that you're doing. So for example, if you are in the Navy and you work on a submarine and you're 3,000 feet, underwater, or have you, some of the skills that are transferable is that you can work in uncomfortable situations, you can work under pressure, you can work in a fast-paced environment, and that is something that you are able to go ahead and explain in an interview. Also know that, companies love what you did for our country, and they love the leadership skills that you've gained, during your service years. And so I wouldn't be shocked if they wouldn't want to hire you off the bat.
Awesome. Thank you, Teeny.
Nice. And so now we're going to go ahead and get into, a very, very, important part. And so interview advice, Marissa, one of the first questions are, why are a big deal?
Interviews are very important. Basically, it gives you as the applicant an opportunity to meet with the employer or potential employer and really determine if it's going to be a great fit for both parties. You're able to kind of see if there is a personal as well as professional alignment. And, it's usually about half an hour, maybe to an hour, to share some of your professional accomplishments, share with the company why you feel that you're qualified for the position. And, interviews, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, but that's okay. With practice, we'll get better, but more so than anything, it shows that you really do care, and that this is important to you, and you are definitely interested in the position.
Nice. And so going off of that, what are some of the biggest mistakes in an interview?
So one of the top questions that a ton of clients ask is basically, tell me a little bit about yourself. And so many of my applicants or my candidates really just don't know how to answer this question. Sometimes they'll start with their whole professional and give their whole life story of when they were born and when they moved to different places. But, the company that's doing the interview, they want to really just know your professional story. So how can you prepare to answer that question? Just take a breath, pause, and then think back to your resume. What have you done professionally? What type of projects have you worked on? What type of accomplishments and promotions have you gotten through the years? And that's your time to shine, to share with them what you've done, and hopefully those will be aligned with what they're looking for as well.
Nice. That is pure gold, Marissa. And so what else can job seekers do to prepare for an interview?
With any interview, always good to prepare. Do some research. Google the company. Make sure that you know what their vision and their mission is. Um, you can even follow them on LinkedIn. Also do some Google searches on, Hawaii News Now. Just basically any information about what the company is doing within our local organization or nationally, and being familiar with what they're doing is a really great thing. You want to be prepared. You want to make sure that the resume that you're presenting is up to date, like we've talked about in the previously, and you have your biggest accomplishment. We at Express, we like to call it your most significant accomplishment. Make sure that you're prepared to share any project that you've worked on or any deadline that you've met, or somehow you saved a ton of money for the company. Just be prepared to share that stuff and kind of toot your own horn a little bit. It's a great opportunity to shine. And then finally, like we've talked about previously, practice. Just like we have resume buddies, we want to have interview buddies, friends or family that are able to ask you some interview questions, help you to calm the nerves, ask you different types of questions so that when you go out to meet with any company, you're prepared for everything and you're just going to have a conversation and it's going to be something that you're comfortable with, and then you're good to go. So
Nice. And so we always have this question anytime we interview. Do you have for type of advice would you give, for our job seekers about questions to
yep,
ask them?
yeah, thanks, Tini. That's a great question. It is always good to have a couple questions in your back pocket to ask the interviewer. Most of the conversation is going to be coming from their end. They're going to be asking you questions. But if at the end of the interview you say, I don't have any questions, it doesn't really show that you're invested and that you've done research on that company. So with that being said, some things to have, some questions that you could ask are, how do the mission and or cores and values apply to you? And then finally, just having a closing, just a couple of quick questions. Is there anything else that I can clarify for you to help you in making the final decision? Just offering up the opportunity to ask them, have them ask you any follow-up questions regarding what you had shared previously. Another one, how do you see me fitting in with your organization or your team? And then finally, what are the next steps? This is a really great one, such as like, when do you anticipate hiring for their position? When do you think I might hear from you folks? It gives you a better idea of how quickly they are looking to make a decision as well. So,
Nice.
yeah.
And how approach be face-to-face interviews?
Um, you should always be approaching any interview, whether it's in person, face to face, virtual, on the phone, um, just wanting to do your very best. If you are going to be talking to somebody and it's not going to be face to face, couple things, just make sure that you are familiar with the technology. People are using so many different platforms nowadays, to include Teams, Zoom, Skype, all kinds of different things nowadays. And so if that interview is confirmed on a platform that you're not familiar with, download it, check it out, be familiar with how to grant your computer or your phone access to the video as well as the sound. You don't want to have technical difficulties, the reason as to why you're not able to conduct that interview. If they took the time to set up that interview with you, you want to make sure that you're going through with it for sure.
Nice. That really is great advice. How many times have we had technical
Yeah.
errors, right?
Oh my goodness.
Okay. And then, yeah, with, associates probably want to know, how do I address my job jumping?
Hopefully you don't have a ton of job jumping, but as I mentioned, sometimes life happens. Just always do your very best to put a very positive spin on any life event or any reasoning for leaving any position. Just be prepared for those questions, and then being able to share what you learned from that experience and how, this is what and share what you're working towards, and realizing that that's probably not the most ideal, but things are settled now, or whatever the reason is. Just putting a positive spin on any opportunity that you feel a client may be asking you about is a really great thing to be prepared for.
Nice. And then we're going to go into our second part. A good question. How can I tell if I'm sounding confident rather than bragging too much about myself?
I get this a lot. Some people that I interview are very shy and humble, others are very confident, but they don't want to come across that way because it's not always the best. So we always like to kind of tailor it back to just being prepared, being able to share what you did as an individual. So you can list your most significant accomplishments and what you've done to really contribute to the team. But again, pull it back and share how what you did really helped the team obtain their goals and objectives, and that will really help to show that you are a team player, but you know that you got to do your part to really help the overall big picture. And I think that's a really good thing as well.
The interview to talk about.
um, the question is the interview the right time to talk about salary? The first interview, we usually say probably not. You as an applicant shouldn't be asking about salary and benefits from the get-go. Oftentimes you can get some of that stuff already off their website under the careers section. Oftentimes that's listed. But if the client does ask you, then go ahead and have that conversation. But if it is, if they do longer interviews, 2 or 3 step interviews, it's a really great opportunity to kind of bring that up or have that conversation later in the process. It also helps with the negotiation as well.
That is good to know. Yeah, 15 minutes. And so how early is too early? Ooh. How do we answer, what is your greatest weakness?
Well, first, let's touch on the first question. How early is too early to show up for an interview? We say 15 minutes. We don't want, I know a lot of people think I'm going to show up super early. I'm going to be there an hour early to show that I'm prompt. But in reality, that actually throws your interviewer, and they are probably already working on a project or in a meeting, and it actually forces them to rearrange their schedule to compensate for you. Typically, they don't want to leave you in there for an hour. So if you are going to show up, when you show up for your interview, show up about 15 minutes early. And then show up on time. And this day and age, make sure you are masked up before you walk into their facility from the time that you're getting out of your car. I know it's super simple and sometimes we're still kind of forgetting, but just be prepared in that way as well.
Nice. And thank you for addressing that question. And so, yeah, we're going to go into how do we answer? What is your greatest weakness? I know this stumps a lot of our associates.
It does. I like to consider this question, what are your opportunities for growth? And so while they want to know what things you are currently working on, you also kind of want to just share what you are doing personally and professionally to make yourself better. So if it is, for example, your weakness or your opportunity for growth is your time management, what are you doing? I'm setting a better schedule, and just having a game plan and share with the client the things that you've already made yourself aware of and are currently implementing is a really great thing.
No, thank you. And then last but not least, because, or not last, I'm sorry, what to do at the end of an interview? Yeah, what do you recommend?
Say thank you. Thank them for taking the time to review your resume, schedule an interview, meet with you in person, or schedule that virtual interview. Their time is very valuable, and for them to take some time away from their day to meet with you, find out about you, to see if you'd be a great fit, thank you. Thank in person, thank on that virtual interview, and then some additional things. You can send a thank you follow-up email. You're able to get their contact information probably from an email confirmation they sent you via LinkedIn, anything. You can connect with them there. Or, some people, icing on the cake, they've sent, card thank you notes to the business addressed to their interviewer or interviewers. And it's really gone a long way.
Nice. And this is the last question. What are tips for doing a phone interview? Because I know that's going to be extremely common right now.
Absolutely. Again, making sure that you are prepared, you're familiar with the technology that you're going to be using, whether it is just phone or virtual, as that's what we're currently using. Making sure that your background is professional, find a great space within your house or wherever you are to make sure that there are no distractions, no lawnmowers or anything moving around, just make sure that you are prepared. And then throughout the conversation, smile and nod. Just having a smile on your face shows that you are interested, speaking in an uptone. And then also just saying things like, yes, or okay, or I understand, or that's interesting. Those things really show that you're engaged in the conversation and paying attention to what they're sharing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marissa, for all that advice. And so, now we're going to go into our top jobs. And so these are some of our light industrial and skilled trade top jobs right now that we are actively recruiting for. On the light industrial side, you see a lot of production, general construction, and we also have a driver helper position. These positions are typically require 6 months to a year of recent work in that type of field. Pay range is anywhere from to about 15 an hour, and these are on the west side of the island, so Kapolei area. More into our skilled positions, we have our facility manager, warehouse worker, driver, and then our forklift operator are a little bit more skilled. So we're looking for about 5 years of experience in that types of position. Pay is anywhere from 15. So yeah.
Awesome. And then also on the office services and professional desk to include accounting, we have a wide range of positions, anywhere from, a couple of years of experience, entry level to higher level management with additional certification. So we do have a counter sales and customer service position with an industrial company here in the Kalihi area. We do also have an administrative assistant and accounting clerk position. It is a position with a family-owned CPA firm here in the downtown area. Also currently looking for an executive administrative assistant for a locally owned and operated company, definitely well known within our organization. For this position, ideally looking for somebody that has recent experience supporting a higher level management or CEOs within a company. On top of that, we do have a dispatcher, somebody that has grocery dispatching experience is really what we're looking for. That position can pay upwards to about $50,000. And then on the accounting side, we have anywhere from clerk level, accounting clerk, AP clerk, as well as accounting and AR clerk here in the Kalihi area, as well as all the way out to Kapolei. And then finally, an assistant controller. This position is with a banking and financial institution in downtown, looking for somebody that has a CPA background as well as some experience within the banking and finance industry for sure. So these positions, entry level to higher level management, can pay anywhere from starting at about $13 an hour upwards to about $85,000. So very wide range, and we're looking for a ton of different candidates to fill these positions.
Ooh, thank you, Marissa. I am excited to apply. And so, I do want to share with you folks, some of the benefits about working with Express. And so first off, we know when the companies are hiring, we're going to have, we're going to be able to go ahead and share your position with a lot of the companies here on the island. We have existing relationships, and we are constantly calling them to go ahead and market you. And so, yeah, that's something to know. We also know that the benefits are already ended. So if you are currently on unemployment, you are not getting that extra $600. And if you're even going to get it again. And so by getting set up with a company like Express, we're able to go ahead and share with you all the local postings and all the match your skill set. Another thing is you'll get ahead of the competition. And you said if you sign up with a staffing or with our staffing agency, you'll have an advocate actively promoting you to the companies before any other positions get filled. And so with that being said, Marissa, how do we apply to Express?
Great question, Teeny. All right, first and foremost, call us. You can call us at our office. Number is 808-525-5225. And there are some additional opportunities for you to apply as well. You can apply online. So on our website at apply.expresspros.com, you're able to fill out an application and submit it to both our Honolulu and Pearl City office for review, and then we can go ahead and give you a call about that. If you want, you can also just email us your resume. Our office email is honoluluhi@expresspros.com. Just send your resume on over and we'll go ahead and review that and reach out to you as well. And then finally, we do have an app. If you search for the Express Jobs app in the App Store on Google Play or the Apple Store, it's really great. You can fill out an application. You can also search jobs based off of your geographical location just to see if these positions might be a good fit for you.
Thank you so much, Marissa. And then some additional resources, before we go into, questions, we want to go ahead and make sure you're taking advantage of all that Express has to offer. And so, an extended portion of our Get Ahead series is located online. You'd be able to go ahead and get some advice from other franchisees or across the nation from Express. We also have our blog, and so our Express blog is called Job Journey. If you go there, there's a ton of advice about employment, interview tips, everything you need to know to go ahead and get prepared. We also have Job Genius. So what you will do is you'll search at YouTube, so Job Genius Express Employment, and a playlist of about 13 videos will give you all the tools you'll need to go ahead and get prepared for your job search. And then another great benefit about being with Express is Express Learn. So if you sign up with Express today, or when you're job seeking, you'll get access to Express Learn. What this is the university, a ton of different courses and training. And so if you're not sure how to work Microsoft Word, we'll go ahead and train you on that. If you're not familiar with the Quick Pro or QuickBooks, application and train you on, it's not, but it's, free to you. It's a free resource for all of us, something that, we want you to take advantage of. And so I will go ahead and keep this on the screen, and we will open up to questions before we close. Okay, I don't see any, but please, great. Oh, thank you very much, Lisa. She said, mahalo, great information, and thank you for sharing. Thanks, Marissa. Awesome. And then, of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to give our office a call. You are more than, welcome to talk to any of the recruiters, about any information that you may have or questions that you may have. But we appreciate you guys staying on, and thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks so much, guys.
Perfect. Well, aloha everyone. My name is Tennille. I'm with Workforce Hawaii. I just want to thank you for joining us today. I also want to thank Express Employment, Teeny and Marissa for sharing some great information and resources with us. A recording of the webinar will be available soon in their employer profile in our mobile app. So be sure to have our app downloaded so